Hello there. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is still unwilling to negotiate higher wages despite major strikes in the public sector and other sectors. The Conservative politician said he was sad and disappointed about the many strikes in the country in an interview with television journalists on Friday. The refusal to go beyond the offer of wage increases already submitted by the government would be fair and reasonable, my ass. Otherwise, they would risk fueling inflation even further. Great Britain is currently being gripped by an unprecedented wave of strikes. Employees of the Border Force Authority responsible for passport checks on entry stopped working on Friday at 6 airports in the country and at the New Haven ferry port. Train services in Great Britain are almost paralyzed by strikes by railway workers from Christmas Eve until the end of the year. Postmen also went on strike on Friday. Motorway maintenance workers continued a multi-day strike that began on Thursday. And previously, nurses and ambulance drivers had stopped work. In view of the high inflation and several years without a wage increase, the employees are demanding significantly more money, but the government is stubborn and refuses to talk. Several unions have therefore already announced strikes after the new year. The head of the PCS union, that's the Public and Commercial Services Union, warned of an escalation in the new year. I think what you're going to see is a huge escalation of these strikes in public services and the rest of our economy if the government doesn't come to the negotiating table. That was said by Mark Savotka, and he told this to BBC4 Radio. The current wave of strikes in Great Britain could only be a foretaste of what is to come in the new year, according to a union boss. I think what you are going to see is unprecedented, they say. And I really believe this. When you see this already today, and you hear the government saying that they will not come to the negotiating table, what do you expect the unions to do, especially in the case of nurses? And as I said, employees of the border force responsible for passport checks also walked out, and the military had to walk in. The London airports Heathrow and Gatwick, as well as the airports in Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow, and Cardiff, were all affected by this. The approximately 250,000 travellers expected at British airports on Friday were warned that there could be longer waiting times. In some cases, as I said, members of the armed forces were deployed who had been trained for passport checks at short notice. And according to the PA news agency, Heathrow and Gatwick airports initially said on Friday morning that operations would continue as normal. Border Force employees plan to go on strike every day of the year with the exception of December 27th. The UK will be gripped by an unprecedented wave of strikes this December. And as I said, even the postmen went on strike just the day before Christmas Eve. And that is not helping at Christmas time. And nursing staff, ambulance drivers, and railway employees had previously stopped work as well. And several of those strikes will also resume in the coming days. The workers are not only demanding more money in the face of high inflation and several years without pay rise, but also for better working conditions, especially in the health service. That is a very important point there. But in view of the massive wave of strikes in the United Kingdom, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has dispensed with a traditional Christmas speech. Instead, he surprised several government employees with personal calls. That's at least what Downing Street said. Sunak tweeted on Saturday, "To all Brits working over Christmas, thank you. Whether you are in Mogadishu or Milton Keynes, I'm personally grateful to you for your service." According to commentators, Sunak wanted to show the great value he attaches to public service. The unions accused the government of refusing reasonable wage increases. And Christmas was overshadowed by numerous strikes in Great Britain this year. Many people have not received any Christmas mail or parcels as Royal Mail workers have been off work for weeks. Strikes on the railways and among border officials made it difficult to visit relatives. And there are also frequent strikes in many other sectors, such as the healthcare sector, as I said. And according to the government, Sunak called diplomats in Somalia, Pakistan, and Ukraine, as well as the head of a government sponsored charity in London. He also called the crew of the icebreaker HMS Protector, which is currently on duty around the South Sandwich Islands near Antarctica, and supplies scientists there, among other things. Sunak has been in office since October. He wanted to spend his first Christmas as Prime Minister in his Richmond constituency in the northern English county of North Yorkshire. But I'm quite sure that many employees would rather get a real live wage instead of phone calls from the government. But I'm quite sure I'll be talking about strikes for quite some time on this channel, as long as the government is behaving like this. And I repeat what I said before. I'm not usually a big friend of unions, because here in Germany they really exaggerate with demands a lot. But when there is a point where your real wages went down in double digits in the last 12 years, there is a point where action like this is really needed. And the point is definitely there in the UK, especially in the healthcare sector. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.